Hello, everyone. The Elements of Time series, The Winds of Change by Sam Paisley. We finished it.
We did it.
It was a chonker,
That's a big book,
but it's done.
760 pages.
Physical copy is 674 pages. It's still a lot. That's a big book, especially for a YA fantasy. It's a huge, huge book. I want to start out with one of my new favorite categories that we've been doing. Judging the book by its cover, how do you feel about this? RSQ family slash Dakota.
I like it. I have a minor complaint. I do like the cover a lot. It's very intriguing, and looking at it is definitely like it's a visual hook. I'm like, ooh, okay, I want to check this out. I have trouble seeing characters on the front of books that are not how they look in my head.
I feel that. I think though the cover itself looks sick. I really like it.
Yeah, the
I
art's
think it looks
phenomenal.
cool. This right here, this whole scene. We're entering spoiler territory, by the way. That all of our YouTube stuff is spoiler stuff. You're getting your stuff spoiled. The final battle right here didn't look how it looked in my head. Everything looks more green in my head. I don't know why. This looks sick though. But I thought the book was called The Elements of Time. Not gonna lie. But the book is called The Winds of Change, and the series is The Elements of Time. I just think in my head, if I was gonna, I don't know, I'm just being nitpicky for the fun of it. This could be swapped in my head. Because
Yeah.
even right here, Elements of Time.
Yeah, will the next book also have the elements of time on it in big letters?
I don't know. Either way, I like the cover a lot.
I like the cover a lot too. The art's really good, but yeah, I weirdly struggle. It's a weird brain thing when there's like a scene from the book on the cover because I'm especially when it's like that's not how it was in my head, so that's wrong.
I get that with people's faces. If you have your character's face in there, or like specifically hair color, really bothers me. If your hair color is not like, I know you just said it's brown, but in my head, I'm like, this character doesn't have brown hair. My brain wins.
And it's weird too because even with like Rise of the Infected, how they gave us character art, I still have like the my own way I picture the character, which it's me. I'm the problem, but it's still like I still see it differently, you know?
I would agree. Anyway, let's RSQ it to it. Category one, well developed characters. Dakota, tell us about our characters. Did we like them? Did we hate them? Were
Yeah,
they developed?
fun cast, and I think they spent like half the book developing characters, making sure we really knew who the cast of characters was. So
Yeah,
the whole first half of the book felt like its whole purpose was to introduce us to characters and show us their like lore and their internal monologue.
yeah,
So
I felt like
I
we
mean
got a lot of them.
I liked our characters. Cooper and Reed were a fun pair. It was fun to have two main characters where not like one didn't feel any more important than the other.
That's hard to do. Usually
Yeah,
one's like clear the side character.
yeah, I was very impressed. This is deviating, but I was very impressed with the scale of this book and how well it handled it.
I really
And
liked what they did with how, and this I also feel like is tough to do, where you have like in the beginning you set up villains and heroes, and then by the end of the book they're swapped. It's like the people you actually thought were your villains are actually the people trying to do the most good, and vice
yeah,
versa. Like the keepers are actually big baddies for being gods, and ends up
so
being a
so
chill
fierce,
dude,
I think.
and the kid is cool and Claire ends up being cool. I thought that was well. I thought they developed well, or at least were explained well enough where things like we got the yin and yang thing.
Yeah, it was a unique cast of characters. I enjoyed how we got point of views from everybody. Villains, heroes. It was cool to see everybody's internal monologue. That was really unique.
We did get a lot of POVs, which is cool.
It's pretty rare, I think, to get like the villains POV too. Well, it's not necessarily rare, but it's I feel like it's when it's done well, it's a really welcome addition.
Well, I think it was super important for the series too because we didn't necessarily know who the villain was, and the way they were going into the lore and world building, we kind of had to have everybody's POV, but I didn't feel like it was too many POVs. To where it was
Yeah.
like, you need to know this person's cousin's aunt's cat, and if you don't, you miss out on something big.
I always like it when no one has the right information. That makes me happy. And it's like we get to learn it together, and it's not just like useless like withholding. It's like no one actually knows the answer, so you're learning with the characters.
I like learning with the main character,
Yeah,
like, a lot. I think that's fun.
agreed. But anyway, I gave it a point there. Well developed characters. It was a fun cast. Memorable side characters.
Huh? I would agree with that point there. Originality and creativity. We disagreed slightly on this one.
We did.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You go first. Well, you be good cop, and I'll be bad cop. We'll have our slight difference than normal.
I originally did give it a half point, but I gave it the full point because there were a lot of simple elements I felt like that were well done, but they weren't very necessarily dynamic. Like, we have earth, wind, fire, and water elements. It's like, okay, like, what are we doing with these? And we have gods. It's like, okay, we have two high school kids who have to save the world. Okay. But the way that it was done, where we have these gods that are actually all quarreling together, and they actually killed one of them, and they're also trying to end the world so that way they don't have to rule over it anymore. And then they have the elements are controlled with these stones that turn into like these little bird things. I imagine them as little chicklets.
Yeah, the calyxes and the
Yep, the
calyx of air,
spritas.
and yeah,
So I thought that although a lot of the points were very simple, I felt like all working together, they ended up working. Like, by themselves, I was like, I don't know. But all together, I was like, there's enough of them to where they all kind of make it more original or more
that's a really good.
creative.
That's a very good point. I give
Thank
it a
you.
half point because I I really enjoy. I feel like I have to disclaimer it because I'm never the one that's nitpicky. It's always you. So when I'm nitpicky, I feel like I have to disclaimer it.
Defend your point.
I felt like the execution was unique. Half point. That's where the half point comes in. I'm not giving this a 0. The execution of this story was unique, but I felt like we had a lot of really common elements. I felt like a time travel twist, the 4 elements, keepers of the universe. Like I felt like there were a lot of classical like abilities, elemental abilities. I felt like there were a lot of
Yeah.
non-unique ideas, but I will say that I agree that the execution was unique. The Sprita were unique. That was cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think like you said, there's a lot of base things, but I felt like there was enough base things that were interwoven enough that made it more original than not.
Yeah.
I am a, in my opinion,
Opinion.
calc is calculated for short. Chat,
Clip that.
flip that. Well, as far as our storyline, I felt good about our story. I
Yeah,
thought
me
there was
too.
a, I thought it was the easy point.
Yeah, it was very engaging.
Not, I didn't like predict where it was going. Like, I did in the beginning. I was like, oh, I wonder if it's this, and then I just forgot about it. I'm like, nah, it can't be this type thing. Um, like, it might be more story end, but still Cooper being the big bad, who was actually the big good, but was
Take the
also
bad and
bad.
make it good.
Brain hurts. But I felt like it was intriguing. I enjoyed
Yeah.
the story. I mean, I always love, like, I like when we have characters that have no powers or know nothing about the world, and they have to learn what it is and gain their powers by working through it and stuff. Like, I always enjoy those kind of tropes. And then I thought the ending was very satisfying, which I know is the next point, but I felt like it was all woven
Yeah.
together very well.
You're skipping ahead. Yeah, I
We
mean
can do what we want.
two back to back points as well. Well, I gave it a point on storyline and a point on the story end because yeah, the storyline was engaging. I was entranced. I couldn't stop reading.
I felt like he did a good job too of, like, recalling things from the beginning. Like, I made a note of they had their ritual in the beginning they did before, like, baseball games. At the very end, they're like, all right, last battle. We gotta do a ritual before. And, like, the penny that he had around his neck at the beginning, and that was involved in his training and stuff. I'm like, that's good. That's good storytelling. And I talked about this in like 2 or 3 other
Yeah, that's
videos, and
one
I
of your
keep
big
forgetting
things.
to remember to look it up. And I'm gonna do it after this video. I'm not. But I'm gonna look it up eventually. Where, like, it's the gun on the wall that you referenced at the beginning of your book. You have to recall it later, and Sam does a really good job in this series.
Yeah, that's definitely one of your big ones. I recall
It's
you
so
talking about that
important.
frequently. Is like if you're gonna give us little obscure details that don't matter, you have to make them matter, right?
Yeah,
If you're
you
gonna be
can't just
like,
like
It's gonna be like the bottom of that desk table was chipped in a way that looked like it was a spike, and it's like if you're gonna give us really random zoomed in details like that, they have to mean something. So
Yeah, I would agree.
yeah, it was cool. It was good writing.
Good
So
indeed.
and then yeah, I mean we touched on the end already, but it left me wanting more. I was ready. I was like, dang,
My
when
only
is book 2 coming out?
my only gripe with the end, if I have to have gripe, and I feel like this is me the nitpicky guy again. The last battle, I feel like it was good. It lasted too long. And I think this might be a pacing issue, but I feel like well, I can't remember the bag what was because I keep thinking it was Cooper now. I keep changing his name. It's just an R. Big bad.
Talking about
Bad guy. There's an
PAX?
R. Pax. Oh my god, Pax, not with an R. I'm losing my mind. Pax. He keeps like goading Reed into these situations, right? But like it kept going on. Like, oh, I broke all
Yeah,
his characters and I broke it him. And then Reed gets closer and he's like, you're not good enough. And then Reed talks about himself. And then he's like, I'm gonna be even bigger. And then he's like, he stabbed me. And then Pax is like, that's not enough. Like,
he had to go Super Saiyan.
how many times have we? It just felt like it lasted a really long time. Like, oh, this is it. And like after one, I'm like, okay. And after two, I'm like, okay. After three, I'm like, okay. But it's really just a minor thing, and I just think that's a
Yeah,
me personal issue.
it's your nitpicky thing. I felt like it probably lasted long because he had a lot of characters that he took into the last battle. So that was probably just the nature of like had to wipe out all the other characters so that he could
He
zoom
wiped out the
into
other one so
Reed.
quick. I'm defending my point here. I feel like everyone else is already wiped out at this point, and Pax and Reed were just like, "You're not good enough. I am good enough. You're not good enough, but I want to be good enough." And eventually he was. And he's Reed turned into a fox.
That was cool.
But how did Cooper's not evolve?
That's what I was thinking too. I was a little confused in that moment
Like
because I
Reed
was
just
like,
has to get super mad one time, and Cooper's been like doing shit for weeks,
you won't
and
like me
his
when
is
I'm
still a
angry.
little baby chicken.
You won't like me when I'm
Chiclet.
angry.
Rawr.
As soon as we heard an alternate timeline Cooper's Sprita's name, I was like, dang, I think I like
So
that
much
more.
cooler. Valkyrie or something, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. I was like, Valkyrie versus Icarus?
I mean, who would win in a fight? Valkyrie, for sure. Valkyrie punch.
Valkyrie punch.
Yeah, I went there.
Take notes, Sam.
World building and setting. How did you fare here?
I liked it. It was simple in that the setting was both complex and simple. I thought that the way that the portals were used was very cool. The little snapshots we got of each world was cool, and I enjoyed it. Worlds could have been explored more, but I like that they didn't. It didn't feel like they were rushing from world to world, and I don't mean to be mean, but I felt like in 5028 Sonata of Fate, like we saw a lot of different planets, and I felt like we were rushing from world to world.
Yeah,
In
the
this
worlds
one,
meant nothing in that one. It
right.
just was like trying to get to drive the character forward.
But in this one, I felt like we were intentionally only given little snapshots of different places so that the worlds didn't feel like they were like forced exploration super fast. It was like, this is what matters for right now. Maybe they'll come back to this planet.
Yeah. I
I
had a
gave it a
slight
full point.
disagreement. I gave a slight disagreement here. I gave it a half point. I felt you were spot on with the setting. I felt like the setting was great. We got just what we needed from the planets, from the areas that they were in, that they were training, the trials, and what they looked like. I never questioned what anything looked like. Like that was very good. I felt like the world building for me was it was trying to be there. I could feel like, and I almost don't want to not give it the point for this, but I felt when I was reading, I was confused enough to where I didn't want to give it. There was with the magic and stuff, I still don't get really how it worked. And
Yeah.
I know it was explained and it was there, but I feel like it wasn't like it was just like, hey, they get these rocks and now they have powers that turn into chickens. But like also with like I understand the Calstones and everything, but like anything with the keepers kind of was vague, but like it just felt like too vague to where it's like, okay, but the god of time just was like, hey, control this universe, 12 of you, and I'll be back. I didn't really understand that. I guess, very much. And then the Prolia felt very vague, like, hey, we're this super monk like organization that focuses on all these things. And we get superpowers, but we're kind of not sure how we get them. But then we get militarized at one point, and we have these weapons that can think for themselves. The weapons I understood.
Weapons are cool.
The weapons were cool. I liked the weapons. But all of the weapons, all of them were created by that Procia guy who died. That the Prolia
Pasha.
get. Pescia. So like that was kind of confusing too. I don't know. To me, I was just like I was probably overthinking it, but I'm like I'm a little confused on how some of it all works together. I knew
Yeah,
it was there. The effort was there to explain it. I just felt like I missed the mark, maybe, for it to get the point for me.
there are definitely a few situations I was confused about, like how the kid had powers and Sophiris, like what their powers were. I don't like. I thought I might have missed it, but like the kid had wind walking powers, but he never woke the spirit of air. That was like the whole thing with him. So
I was
like, where did
confused by
his
that too.
powers come from then? Because it's Cooper's came from his bond with Icarus,
I don't know because
and
they're
the same
like
with
the
like
keepers are training
Sophiris
him
and
to.
Corsac. Like, are the Prolia just like warriors who are strong, or do they have like key like cheat
So, from my understanding, to unlock the
to
Prolia,
unrock?
you have to have like all your stat points perfect in that in one of your four quadrants, right? I forget what the wind and I think red was passion. We'll just go with passion.
Yeah, red was
Like
mind.
red had like all of his there in mind, passion. And so he was able to unlock it, whereas some of the other people were super close but didn't get it. But they also strive to get all of their points in all of the areas to get elevation, which they'll never be able to achieve. I don't know. It was just a little
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find out
confusing.
more later.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get more info in the coming
that's
stories,
true. But for now, I'm a little confused.
but I give it a point.
Pacing and structure. I
Mm.
felt structure was good. I felt I had no issues with structure at all. I pacing personally, I thought the first 10% solid. Like when we were in the high school and doing the thing. When we started getting towards when PAX was introducing the trials, it felt so slow. I felt like we read about the trials for 35% of the book, and I just did not understand why. I know the characters going through stuff, but it didn't really feel like they went through a lot. They just kind of were solving things because neither of them got further really in their powers. At least Reed didn't. He got his Sprita. I just remember
Spreet eat Spreet.
Sprita. So it felt like they were introducing them to the thing. It just felt too long. So the very first, well, after the first 10%, it just felt slow, and then it super picked up. I flew through the back half of the book, but the first 35%, I was like, this is kind of dragging a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like whenever a story starts with a character who's getting out of high school, that it's a really rough transition. And maybe that's like, I think that's recency bias too. Like I think every story we've read recently where a character is like coming out of high school, the transition has felt rough. Like the transition from everyday high school life to whatever their fantastical life is has felt like a little clunky. So this, I understand what you're saying there, because it did feel like there was a bit of a slow burn there.
Yeah.
I gave it a slight mark off on both pacing and structure, because pacing, for the most part, I gave it a half point in the category, but a slight mark down on both pacing and structure. I felt like the pacing in the first half was a little slow, but I was engaged, so it didn't bother me terribly. For the structure, I felt like the whole structure of his book, the first half, the point of the first half was to introduce and develop characters, which is fine. It did make it feel a little slow. It would have been cool if we had done it through a flashback kind of execution. I feel like the execution could have been a little smoother. The book could have been a little shorter. He could have thrown in flashback lore into I don't know. I feel like we could have started later in the book and understood the characters through flashbacks.
I feel like that's almost writing style though,
That's true.
or maybe not writing style, because flashbacks would be cool, but we didn't get flashbacks in this book. So I'm like fine
Yeah.
that we didn't
It's like a
get
personal
them,
choice for sure. And I'm
but I
not,
definitely agree that it could have been shorter. I feel
yeah,
like we expanded upon things that we kind
that's
of
what I'm really
repeated
getting.
the same thing a lot.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm really getting at is I think there were ways to make it shorter without compromising the depth of character development we got in the first half.
Yeah. I think we tried expanding on the like emotional development that like Reed was going through and that Cooper had to go through where we were just repeating a lot of the same every time the character had to like think about it, we were repeating the same thing for like quite a while. And the character was going through
Yeah.
it. I just felt like if we cut out a lot of that,
Which was interesting
it would have
too,
been
because
fine.
we saw the same parallels in like high school and in the trials that were like the character growth, like what the characters are going through, like Reed, like we saw their internal monologue repeat both in their failures at school and in their like difficulties in the trials.
But
But
still a half
anywho,
point.
half point from both of us.
Emotional engagement.
Yeah, you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You go first this time.
This one, I felt like there were definitely moments where the story was supposed to feel emotional, and I could tell that he was trying to invoke emotions, but I feel like we could have sat in them more, or the stakes could have been higher to like understand the emotions. Like at
Yeah.
like I think we could have used like a character death or like a sacrifice.
I made a video on this. You need to
You
kill your
did.
characters.
You did.
And I feel like this is one of those books that could have used that. Everybody Living, I feel like, kind of did a disservice. Not that I still really enjoyed the book, and Everybody Living made sense, but somebody should have died. Not even a
There's
side
plenty of
character died. Not even like any of Claire's people. No one got left behind, like trying to save them. Like that would have been like a perfect thing. Like
yeah.
Ravioli or whatever his name was. If he would have got like left behind, like saving everybody else, like I'll protect you,
Yeah.
like jumped it. That would have been perfect. But no, there was no consequences, which means the stakes didn't matter.
Yeah, and then like their planet being put behind a permanent ether shield to like make sure their families couldn't be tortured. It was like a little too convenient. Like we could have seen like the stakes could have been like protecting their families.
Yeah, I was okay with the shield though. I didn't mind.
I'm just agreeing and proposing potential suggestions in ways that like I just think we could have used some more stakes. Not the medium rare kind, but the kind where the makes characters sad if they lose.
My stakes medium.
That's fine. You didn't say well, so we're good.
Not medium well. I like the pink. I also get a half point. I had like an issue with like half the characters. Like some of the characters, like I understood the characters and what they were going through. I understood their stakes and that they felt the emotions. Like with Cooper and even Stinger, Sophorus, I understood that kind of what like their emotions. And I'm like, okay, this character's going through this and it makes sense. I really struggled with the kids' emotions. I didn't really understood how he fit in his internal struggle. I was like, I don't get why you're even struggling with any of this or why you're here. But especially like Reed, I felt like I didn't really connect with because his whole thing was he had to like overcome and use his anger. He never felt angry to me. Anytime he was
Yeah.
in a situation, he goes, "Oh, he's read Reed." I'm like, has he gotten mad yet? Like he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, his anger was definitely referenced as like a past anger, and then the one time he lost control and burnt Stinger.
Yeah, and that was the one time I'll agree with. And even in the high school when he's fighting Jake, I think his name was the bully. I could, I guess, understand it there, but it just kind of seemed like he got mad. It wasn't like he was blinded by rage. It's like he punched somebody who was bullying him. Like, didn't really seem. I guess it was kind of like a. It was the emotions were there, but they were muted. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy. Um, I guess the emotion of like Cooper's struggle with sacrifice. Like I don't want to kill, but like I have to kill type thing.
Yeah,
Like
that was a good.
those emotions were big.
Yeah.
I did feel like it also lost the point because they were like, "Oh, I really want to get back home, and we have to do this and blah." But the characters actually didn't care about that at all. Like it was a reference like one time, like, "Oh, we get powers, all right? Fuck my family.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
flying."
that's something about the AP Beswick book I just read is like the whole time the main character is like talking about how he wants to get back to his mom. He's like, my mom's gonna be alone if I don't like make it back to Earth. And I think like It could have used something like that, like something to anchor them there. Whereas this was like they graduated high school and went on to be
Or
cosmic
dip it.
superheroes.
We going to college or planet. See you later, nerds.
See you later, nerds. CY at sign.
Back to a full point though, writing silent prose. I thought it was for I feel like we've been somewhat negative, but I really enjoyed the book for I feel like we're just being more
Yeah,
critiquey.
yeah,
But the writing style was really good. It was everything was written well and the prose is perfect. Like I said, I felt like this is a YA fantasy and I felt like it perfectly fit that. I had no issues whatsoever with
same.
any
No
way
problem.
that was
It was easy to
shoved
digest. It
into.
was very readable, and it was a fun book. I really enjoyed this book.
How do you not like powers? How do you not
Yeah,
like, you know,
the fights were cool.
fights were cool?
The portals were cool. Slip travel, that was super fun.
And also Stinger's form of attack being rope darts is sick. That's not usually like a thing. Usually I got a sword or like
It
a
was very unique,
scimitar.
very creative.
I like the rope darts.
Same.
Those are cool.
But yeah, I agreed. Full point for writing silent prose. And on
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
my favorite category.
Meaningful themes and depth. Talk about your favorite category, Dakota.
Yeah.
Dive in.
So I gave it a point here. There were a lot of interesting themes. I like the concept of Reed and Cooper's nature being part of their powers. One of the really interesting things to me was we talked a lot about nature in the first like 75% of the book, and how it was a big thing about Cooper was like you awoke the calyx of air because of your unchanging nature and your unbreakable will and unbreakable spirit. But then we meet an alternate future timeline version of Cooper who has broken, who has snapped, and who is killing people. And so it's like, what's the theme here? Unbreakable will can, there's no such thing as an unbreakable will. Anybody can face trauma and snap, because it was definitely a big focus both ways, right?
Yeah.
They were all acknowledging like Cooper's going to be this way because that's his nature. And that's why he is who
Needed a
he
big
is,
enough
because of his
catalyst.
nature. But then future Cooper was a monster intentionally. So like,
He was in intentionally just to force Reed though to switch. But that's nuts. Yeah.
that was a
I
really cool theme. I really like that. I really like that exploration.
That was good. I thought that the couple others to highlight too is like second chances. Like you have Suffrus or whatever. It's like just 1 second chance because he was killed and then had a chance to like pay penance, I guess, and he's still paying penance for what he did, even though he was right, the way he did it was wrong, type thing. But that's another thing. Is like, do the ends justify the means? And that was Cooper's whole thing. Is like, is me killing this person, even though they're killing me, like right? Like, if I have to kill one person to save all these people, what makes that right? Type thing. And another big one too, with especially with Stinger, is just because you're like taught it doesn't mean that it's true type thing, especially with like the government and like religion and stuff like that. Like just because like you've been drilled into this your entire head, like you have to question things because or else you just blindly be like, this person told me this, so this is what I'm gonna believe. And Stinger learned that the hard way.
She did. She did indeed.
Those are all big themes. I feel like
Yeah, the themes were fun.
I'm glad that's fun for you. Our character's
Glad
trauma.
character sadness and difficulty is fun for you. I mean, it is. Characters going through hard stuff is fun for me.
Yes, yes. And our last category, Dakota, rereadability and lasting impact.
This one always feels tough for me on a new series, first book of a new series.
That is
It
tough.
almost feels unfair because as a standalone, we're looking at this as a standalone when there's so much room for the author to grow and explain more and further elaborate. So it feels unfair. I gave it a half point because as a standalone, I don't think I would reread it. It had a lasting impact in the unique parts of the story, had me immersed and engaged. So like I will like have fond memories when I think back about this, and it will come to mind from time to time about all the cool things from the story. But as a standalone book, it's not the strongest candidate for a reread.
So the
If
way I'm
that all
looking at
made
it,
sense.
I would agree. I gave it a half point because for
I did too.
I didn't give it a point in lasting impact though. I enjoyed my read and I'm glad I read it, but I'm not thinking about it kind of once I'm done. But rereadability wouldn't necessarily reread, and this is how I'm gonna my brain works with like this is the first and we don't have the second book out type thing is I wouldn't necessarily just reread this as a standalone because if it was just by itself, I probably wouldn't reread it. But I would go back to it to get the second book type of thing. Like I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to the second book. So that's why I would give it that.
And that's
point
the
there
big
for
thing
me.
that I think I was saying is like it's hard to look at these like a standalone when they're not going to be a standalone.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to
But
just
half point in
isolate
that
it, but,
category too.
So I think overall, we both gave it an 8. So that's an RSQ score of an 8.
8 out of 10.
8
That's
out
a
of
high
10.
score. It's a
We
positive
like
score.
that.
We like to nitpick things, but we liked this book. It was good.
I was just say, I feel like we were kind of negative when we were talking about this
Yeah.
book to give it an 8 out of 10, but I feel like I'm trying to be more critical,
Yeah, we're trying
More-
to. We like to tear into
more
it.
analytical, if you will.
Book scientists.
I'm not going to do my impression. I'm not. I just not myself. Anyway,
I'm not cutting this. It's going in.
I don't care. So yeah, 8 out of 10. RSQ recommended for
Yeah.
sure.
Check it out.
Again, this is The Winds of Change, The Elements of Time series by Sam Paisley. This is book 1. There is a novella out too as well. What's his name again? Pescia?
Yeah, it's the
Dead
No, it's-
keeper.
yeah.
His diary that he get rule that is translated by Reed and Clara. So yeah, definitely go check that out. Definitely worth the read. It was another fun indie read that we did. If you're doing indie month, it's definitely worth checking out. Go for it. Do it.
Yeah, as an indie book 1, it was really well done. Really expansive, really broad, wide net he threw. Lots of different topics, lots of different powers, lots of different characters.
That's a big
It doesn't
thing too.
feel like an indie fantasy debut.
I was just gonna say that. It felt like a regular, I mean, it sounds stupid, but it felt like a regular book. It didn't feel like an indie book. This felt like it was published by publish. I don't know how to describe it.
It had a
was well done.
high production quality.
Yes. Yep. From the cover to the back, all of it in between.
From the front to the back and all
From
the
the
juicy
front to
bits
the
in the middle.
back, yes. Yeah,
But
what a
yeah.
fun read. Glad we did that. Next up on the docket, we are actually not doing wheel spin.
It's
We are
true. We're
going
taking a wheel
to-
break.
Quick wheel break. Brandon Sanderson's Isles of Ember Dark just came out. It is in the mail, but we do have a online version, an ebook. So we're going to go ahead and read that because we are very excited for that. We've been waiting for a very long time, and it come out early, and we don't feel like waiting. And oh no, you're not spinning your wheel. That doesn't. We can do what we want.
We're in charge.
We are
This
in
is the
charge.
RSQ show, and we're RSQ.
We didn't pause the book in the middle. We finished the book we were on.
True,
And now
we did.
we're moving on. And so we'll start that, and it'll take however long it takes.
A few days.
Yes. We'll see. But yeah, have fun.
There we are. Thanks for joining. Thanks for coming along for the ride on Elements of Time, and we'll catch you next time.
RSQ out.